Awesome. Welcome, everyone. We're glad to have so many of you here tuned in for our session today on a healthcare career, registered nurse. So Erica Mulroy is with us today. She is with Theta Care. And so, Erica, if you want to get us started by just introducing yourself and telling students what your career path is and where you're at coming to us from today, and we'll get started there.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. My name is Erica Mulroy. I'm one of the nurse recruiters here at Theta Care. So I'm a registered nurse by background, but did join our human resources department about 2 years ago now. And my main role in human resources is nurse recruitment. So I work with a lot of the students that come on site for clinicals. I also work with a lot of colleges and high schools in our area here. So my career path, I started out, I always knew that I wanted to be a nurse. So my mom was a nurse and she always told me the best way to kind of get exposed is to start as a CNA. So I did start as a CNA when I turned 16. I started in a nursing home near my hometown. And then as I kind of got to kind of venture into the nursing home a little bit, I thought I really like this and knew that I wanted to go to school for nursing. So when you turn 18, then you can also join our Theta Care team. So what I did is I worked in that long-term care facility until I started college in Oshkosh. So I graduated from UW-Oshkosh, the College of Nursing there. During my time there, I was able to start here at Theta Care in a long-term care facility. We have an assisted living side, and then we also have the nursing home as well. So that is where I'm here today. I'm here at our Theta Care facility, the Heritage Peabody location. So I can kind of talk to you about kind of how to start your nursing career if you're interested, and then I can kind of talk about where this path had led me and how I got to where I am today. So behind me here, I will show you as a CNA, if you start in a long-term care facility, these are some different equipments that you might use. And it's a great opportunity to kind of dabble into the nursing a little bit. So I think you guys can kind of see off to the side here, we have a walker. So a lot of our residents here on site will use a walker. You can kind of see some stuff hanging off to the side. Because this facility is their house or their home, there is different opportunities for them to kind of get out of their apartment. And they can go grocery shopping on our on-site grocery store. They can visit the library here. So you can kind of see that they have a bunch of different things on their walker here. So that is one thing we can help residents with here, being a CNA. In the middle here is our vital. So we will use a stethoscope here. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but a stethoscope, we can definitely listen to our residents' heart and lungs. We can check their respirations to make sure that everything is going okay. We do vitals quite frequently on our residents here. We do blood pressure, that is over here as well. And then also we take temperatures. So we make sure that all of our residents are staying healthy and safe. So that is our vital machine, and we do that every day here at the Heritage. And then over here on my left here is the wheelchair. So some of our residents will use this as their transportation as well. So you will see that being a CNA, you will help residents with transportation or ambulating, maybe in the halls, in their rooms as well. And then I also have a gait belt here. So these are some of the tools that we used in nursing. Goes around the resident's waist, just like this. And you kind of secure it around their waist. And this is to help them ambulate. Sometimes you will use this to help the resident get up out of their wheelchair or maybe a chair. Just kind of helps the nurse kind of use a steady grasp on the resident so that we make sure that they're not falling. Okay, so I am here at the Heritage today. So I do have a nurse here on site with me. Here at Theta Care, we do have CNAs, we have LPNs, and we also have RNs that are willing to help our residents. So I will introduce you to Brianna. She's here, she is an RN on site. And I will let her go ahead and introduce herself, and she can kind of talk about maybe what she does as a nurse here at Theta Care.
Awesome. Welcome, Brianna. Yes, please fill us in.
My name's Brianna. I am an RN. I actually split my time between here, the Heritage, and Appleton Medical Center on the inpatient oncology unit. So I started here at the Heritage when I was 16. I started in dietary. And then once I was able, I got my CNA license and continued working here until I got my LPN, and now I'm an RN. So I've been here for about 8.5 years now. So here we just kind of oversee the CNA's day-to-day duties and kind of more of like a case management type position. overseeing everything. And then on the oncology unit, we have more acutely ill patients that we take care of every day. We do see a lot of oncology, new chemo, and right now we have a lot of other patients as well due to our current situation in the hospitals being quite full. We do see a lot of med surg type people. So it definitely keeps me on my toes and keeps us busy.
Awesome. She could answer some of these too if she wanted to. We have lots of questions coming in from the students already. And maybe if she could talk about what her normal hours are in both locations that she's working in. And then we'll be asking you the same questions too, Erica.
No problem. Okay, so Brianna, they want to know your current hours here at the Heritage. So the Heritage is the long-term care facility.
Okay, so I am full-time between the two. So I guess I'm technically part-time at both the hospital and here at the Heritage. So at the Heritage, I do 2 6-hour shifts a week, plus I take on-call. So I'm on call for a whole weekend once every 6 weeks, and then overnight during the week, 1 night a week. And then at the hospital, I work 12-hour rotating shifts. So it's either 5:30 in the morning until 6 at night, or 5:30 at night until 6 in the morning. And then we work every 3rd weekend there.
Okay, awesome. And I'll just give you a couple more of the questions. What is your favorite part of the job, Brianna?
I think just being able to take care of all of these people in their time of need. I know nurses sometimes are underappreciated by patients, but it does help when they do voice how grateful they are for you. And especially now with no visitors allowed in the hospitals, their families are always calling us for updates and saying how thankful they are that, you know, we're there with them when they're vulnerable and not feeling their best, when their family can be. So that's been really cool.
Awesome. And you had said you kind of stepped through a few different certifications.
Mm-hmm.
What made you go that route? Did you go to school that whole time? What were the benefits about kind of getting those different certifications as you went?
Yeah, so I started in dietary because actually at the time I didn't quite know what I wanted to do. I just know that I wanted to go into the medical field. So I thought starting with ThedaCare, which is one of our bigger companies in the area, would be a way to get my foot in the door. So I did dietary until I think it was 17, and then I got my CNA certification, because once again, figured anywhere I was going to go in the health field, having CNA experience just is really valuable and really helps. And then actually I was my grandma's caregiver for 2 years. So after taking care of her, then I knew for sure that I wanted to go into nursing. And then I went to Fox Valley Technical College. I took my LPN boards halfway through the program, which is a nice thing that they offer. And then finished out and got my RN.
Awesome. Wonderful. Okay, that is so helpful. Thank you very much for your time today.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Great.
Thanks, Erica. So you were going to show us a few of the other spaces here at this facility. Would you like to walk through those?
Yep. All right. So here at the Heritage, like I talked about, it is basically a huge apartment complex. So as I'm kind of navigating through some of these areas, I'll kind of talk about them a little bit. And like I said, like Brianna said too, if you're knowing that you want to go into nursing, it's a great opportunity to start as, you know, a dietary aide or even a CNA. And then someday, you know, you can transition into LPN or RN like Brianna said. So I will go ahead and take you on the tour. I'm going to make sure I don't get any residents in here. So we are out and about. So
well, as you're checking that out and as you're walking, a student just asked, do CNAs primarily work in nursing homes or do they work in hospitals as well?
Good question. So yes, here's a CNA as well. His name is Donald. So he's a CNA here at the Heritage. So they do work in the hospitals as well. So when I go and flip my screen over to our inpatient setting, to the oncology floor, I did take a few photos to show you today. CNAs typically will work in the hospitals and they will do the same type of things. So they will do cares for the patients on the floor. They do frequent vital signs. They ambulate patients in the hallway. And then they help the RN with anything that they typically need. Maybe it's a blood sugar check, things like that.
Awesome.
Okay. So I'm going to show you down this hallway. So down to here, these are all of the residents' apartments. So I can go ahead and take a walk down here to show you. And each room is set up with a bedroom, a bathroom. They have a little living room area. So it is a beautiful space for our residents to live. So we're able to kind of go into their home and take care of them here. And then like I talked about, this is all connected inside. So we have a little grocery store for the residents, and actually it's owned by the residents. They take care of it. So I'm gonna just
Do
try
they
to
volunteer then? Do people volunteer for hours, or how does that work?
Yep, so the residents can sign up to take care of the store. So they do the shopping, and then they also do the stocking of the store as well. So that is a really cool thing for the residents here. So here's their general store, and you can get all of your basic things because like I said, this is their home. And they have a little kitchen in there, so they can do some light cooking. They can, make breakfast. So you can kind of see the store here.
Wonderful.
Okay. And then down here is where the residents, so before COVID, the residents could all come down to our dining room. And I can kind of show you down to our dining room. So if they're on care, where we take care of them, they get all of their meals from us here at Theta Care. So they would get breakfast, lunch, and dinner. There are residents that live here that don't receive care, but they just live here because they don't want to live by their self anymore. They don't want to deal with the snow shoveling. So many residents can pre-COVID leave in their own car and go out into town and buy their own groceries, things like that. And then they can also come to their restaurant and get dinner if they wish. So I can kind of show you. It is not set up right now like it used to be because currently all of the residents do eat in their room. There is a select few you will see that do come down here and do eat in our dining room. But pre-COVID, they had a nice little salad bar. The lights are dimmed. It's just really cozy for the residents. So if you are looking to start your nursing career and want to get started, we do, hire high school students in our dietary. And that's where you would typically work is in the kitchen here. You would take the residents' orders, and then you would prepare the food, and right now you deliver it to their room.
Oh, wonderful.
Okay.
And a lot of students are very interested in this. So maybe talk about the difference between the dietary aid and then how you become a CNA, because those are both things that they can do while they're still in high school.
Correct. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So dietary aid, how you become a dietary aid, you can just go onto our website and apply for a position. There is no certification. Obviously, we would like a passion to, work with the elderly because you do come in contact with them. Maybe if it's in the kitchen here, or if it's in their room. And then to start as a CNA, you can go ahead and look for any CNA classes. You can take that while you're going to high school. And then a lot of times our individuals will start in the kitchen and then they transfer over into a CNA and all within the same facility, which is really cool because a lot of times you will already know the residents, you will know the staff. So it's a really great transition if you are looking to start your nursing journey.
That's awesome.
You
know how old you have to be to take that CNA course and become a CNA?
So it depends. A lot of high schools are offering it. I don't know if you're familiar with like the youth apprenticeship programs through the high school, but you can start that, I believe, your junior or senior year in high school. If you're out of high school and you can also go to your local, we have it at the Fox Valley Tech where they have courses as well.
Definitely. Yeah, students, I think it might be 16 years or older, if I'm not mistaken, but definitely check with your school counselor. You might have the opportunity to take it on site or within your high school, or there might be local tech colleges that offer this program so that you can get the CNA. About how long is the course for the CNA?
It's only I think it maybe like a month or two, depending on where you take it. If you take it through your school, sometimes it's just a semester. You get so many hours in, and then you have to do a state test at the very end as well.
Wonderful. So what are some of the tasks? You talked about what the dietary would be doing. You showed us some of the equipment that the CNA might be using. Are there things a CNA cannot do?
Yes. So a CNA cannot do a variety of different things. You kind of have to stay within your scope or what you're certified to do. But here at the Heritage, we do a special class to pass medication. So you can become certified to pass medication at the Heritage. But for example, if you would be a CNA in the hospital, you would not pass medication. You cannot do anything, like you can't give the medication, you can't do like IV medications. You would work under the direction of the nurse.
Perfect. So maybe just in the facility, what have been some of the changes since the pandemic had started?
Yes, you can see that all of the residents, when they are outside of their room and they are walking maybe to that store or maybe to the restaurant area, they do have to wear a mask, which is new for COVID. When they are in their rooms, they do not wear masks. Employees must wear their mask 100% of the time while they are on site here. When working with the residents, we also do wear goggles for extra protection, which is obviously new with COVID too.
Awesome. And then you said, so some of your residents were able pre-COVID to just go as they please, go visit stores outside of the facility. Is everybody then locked down? Are there no visitors?
Correct. So we are not allowing any visitors at this time. If a resident does have to leave, let's just say to go to a doctor's appointment and maybe they can drive themselves, we do encourage them to quarantine in their room just so that we aren't spreading anything potentially to the other residents in our facility. So we do have a little drop-off area for family to, maybe some residents need some groceries and they don't want to purchase it at the grocery store here. Or maybe they need some new clothes, or maybe it's Christmas decorations that are, that's coming. They can drop it off at the front entrance, and then the staff will make sure that the residents get what they need.
That's wonderful. All right, let's switch gears and start talking about maybe the training now. So we have the CNA, the type of things you can do while you're in high school. And maybe quickly, could you just touch on what types of courses might be good for students to be looking at while they're still in high school if they're interested in healthcare?
Sure, absolutely. So the number one is if your high school does have a youth apprenticeship program, get going on the CNA certification, because that is an awesome jumpstart to healthcare. A lot of individuals will then realize, is nursing really for me? Because it really does expose you to the nursing world. You are working directly with patients, with residents. You're also working directly with that licensed staff. You could potentially be working with doctors and nurses and LPNs. So that would be what I would recommend the most. Science courses are always great. That is one of the main things when you go to nursing school, is really understanding the science and how the body works. A lot of that will obviously come with time, but you can never have enough science courses.
Excellent. Audrey is wondering, what is an LPN?
Yep, so it's a licensed practical nurse. So it is a little bit higher than the CNA, but it's lower than the RN. There is a difference between them and how we utilize them within our facility. They can still, like, let's just say in the hospital setting, our LPNs function at their highest capacity, where they are giving medications. They can do continuing assessments. They can't assess anybody new coming into the floor or the hospital. An RN has to admit them and complete that initial assessment, and then they can kind of help that RN out. They typically work as a team with the RN. And also the LPN cannot provide any education to their patients or their residents. That does have to come from a registered nurse.
Perfect. All right. So now moving into registered nurse, what does that education pathway look like? And what does it take to become certified, to become registered?
Yep, good question. So what that pathway can look like is you could start looking at different colleges in your area. I know here in the Fox Cities, our main ones are UW-Oshkosh, which is close by, which is a 4-year degree. And then we also have Fox Valley Tech, which is a 2-year degree. Both are great. So if you're looking at, different options, I would definitely start looking at what schools you're most interested in and how does that fit into your plan. And then you can go ahead and enroll. Sometimes you have to apply to nursing school. So at the Tech, I believe you have to talk to the career services there to kind of get on like a waiting list. And then at UW-Oshkosh, you do have to apply to the College of Nursing. So every college might be a little bit different. You do have to take some prerequisites to get into the program. So good grades obviously is number one. So your GPA, they're looking at what you do in the community. How are you making a difference? And then most importantly, why do you want to become a nurse? Show that passion, show what you've done to get to where you want to go. And then you go through schooling, and at the very end, you then take what we call as our NCLEX, or the state exam. And then that's how you become certified.
Excellent. And I think that this is sometimes surprising to students, but is it correct that when you go to Fox Valley Tech or any tech school and get that associate's degree, or if you go on to a 4-year school and get your bachelor's degree, are you taking the same test and do you have the same certification after?
Correct. Yes, you are taking the same test, and that is called our NCLEX. And the difference between the two-year degree and the 4-year degree is you have a bachelor's degree, which a lot of local hospitals in our area is now requiring that 4-year degree. So I know here at ThedaCare, we do hire what we call ADN nurses, which means you have that 2-year nursing degree. We do require that after you are hired, that we make you go back to school to get your BSN or your
Awesome. Is there
bachelor's.
support usually for that? Like if a student went that route, could they then, have financial support in getting that bachelor's?
Yes, absolutely. So, I mean, even if you start as a dietary aide, or maybe you start as that CNA, ThedaCare does offer tuition reimbursement, which is another phenomenal benefit to get started if you know you want to go to school for nursing. We do start that. You do have to hold at least a 0.5 FTE, which is about 20 hours in 2 weeks. So typically, that's pretty doable when you start college. You can work some weekends, you can work maybe some off shifts, and a lot of our individuals do benefit from that tuition reimbursement.
Awesome. Yeah. And students, I know we've had healthcare professionals from many different facilities, and it really sounds like that is a pretty normal thing. And it's worth looking into as you gain confidence in your path in healthcare. If you're wondering how you can pay for school and maybe how you can come out of school with little to no debt. So I know there's a wide range of opportunities once you become a registered nurse. Let me take a quick segue. A student was asking, what is the difference between a registered nurse and a nurse practitioner or an NP?
Yep, so a registered nurse is an RN, registered nurse on the floor, and NP is a nurse practitioner. So it's that next level. At that point, you can then prescribe medication. You're not quite that doctor level, but yet you can still see patients and you can treat patients, which is very different than an RN, where we follow those doctor's orders.
Awesome. And Elizabeth had a cool question. What is the highest role in the hospital? And that probably varies because not everything is patient care. I know there's administrative roles as well.
Exactly. Yeah. So right now, at ThedaCare, we are a huge organization. So we have a CEO over our entire company. So he is the highest. And then obviously in the hospital settings, our doctors, working directly with the nurses would be the highest level.
Awesome. Okay. So we had lots of students wondering about like a typical day or what your work week looks like and what hours someone might be working if they were a registered nurse.
Sure. Yeah. So I can kind of then branch off into, so I started here as a CNA while I was going to nursing school. After I graduated, I then applied for a position in the hospital. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And I did start off on the oncology floor in Appleton. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and I have some pictures of what the oncology floor looks like. And then I can kind of talk about what it looked like, throughout the shift. Okay. Can everybody see my screen okay?
Yes, that's great.
Okay, so as a new grad, I did start off in the hospital. It's a great opportunity to kind of develop and work off those nursing skills that you've learned in nursing school. So we always recommend getting into the hospital to really use your skills that you've learned. You will have clinicals throughout different hospitals wherever you decide that you are going to school, but you just get such little bit of that exposure. So getting on a med-surg floor is a great stepping stone to wherever you want the nursing career to lead you. So here is some pictures of at ThedaCare at our Appleton location is the oncology floor. You can see that we are on the 7th floor. So, typical days, you come off those elevators and you're ready to start your day. You can see that the long hallway of the different patient rooms down on the left-hand side. And then also in the middle there is what our nurses stations look like. So you will typically come in the morning to something like we call our alcove, and you would sit down with the shift before you. So a typical nurse shift on our hospital is 5:30 in the morning to about 6 o'clock at night. We do 12-hour shifts on most of our hospital units. And then we do typically, most nurses will work 3 days a week, those 12-hour shifts, and then every third weekend. The weekends do entail Friday, Saturday, and Sundays. So as you start your shift as a nurse, you typically will come to your charting area with the nurse that is maybe leaving on that night shift. You will get patient report. You will kind of give, a handoff to let them know kind of what happened on that night shift. You kind of will maybe look up, who needs to go maybe down for an MRI, maybe who's having a procedure. All that information will be given to you, or you can definitely access it on the computer. If there's any labs that you need to look up to kind of just get yourself started for the day. So that's typically where that happens. And then your day, you just start your day typically assessing your patients, right? You want to make sure that you're going in there as a nurse, checking in on your patients, getting your eyes on them to say, okay, this is how this patient is acting from the start of my shift, so that as a nurse, if anything is changing or maybe that patient is declining, you'll be able to note that. And that's one of the main tasks as a nurse is, checking on your patients, making sure that they're improving and that we can get them home or wherever that they, if it's going back to a nursing home or maybe it's getting back to their house. That is our main goal, is to get them wherever they came from.
Excellent. With all those tasks, is the role of an RN stressful? And what are some of the more difficult things that you've had to deal with or things that you have to do when it comes to patient care or anything within the role, really?
Absolutely. So, there's definitely so many different challenges as a nurse. Patients can definitely take a spin very quickly, but we love to work as a team. And you will note that you as a nurse are not the only one taking care of those patients. So, you have your CNAs that work on the floor and they're doing those, we call them ADLs or activities of daily living. Maybe it's getting them dressed, getting them to the bathroom. They're helping you with those things. Then you have your LPN. Some of the hospitals function with an LPN as well that could typically help you as, doing some of the CNA tasks and then also helping giving medications as well. So definitely keep your team together. Work together because you are going to have very stressful situations where maybe that patient declines very quickly and you have to call for additional support. Maybe you need to call, the doctors in, or maybe you need to call other colleagues that might not be in your immediate team. It's just totally unpredictable what you're going to walk into for the day. But if you have the team and you work together, you will get through it.
Awesome. So we've had a few questions about students who are trying to understand essentially how you specialize in an area. So one student previous to the session had asked, how do you become an RN in OBGYN? Another student was asking about becoming a midwife nurse. How do you end up sort of in a department that, you would like to specialize in?
Sure. So that is a really good question. So typically pre-COVID, I would recommend reaching out to complete some job shadows. We used to have what we call the high school boot camp, where you could apply to that, and it would be a one-day opportunity, typically in the summer and one day in the winter, where you could come in and you can learn about just a wide range of different opportunities that we have within the hospital. So I would encourage to reach out, network with as many people as you possibly can to really learn on what you want to do. Because there is so many different things that, in nursing, you can be an OB nurse, you can be an oncology nurse. And a lot of times you get that exposure in nursing school, but not always. So I always just say, look for as many opportunities and experiences that you can. I'm hoping that, when we have the chance, we will start job shadows again. But we did have a lot of high school students come through to job shadow different areas within our hospital or a facility.
Definitely. So then does it take any specific training while you're in nursing school? Are you able to move between departments once you have your degree? How does that work?
Yep. So once you have your RN license, your opportunities are endless. You can definitely, there is just so many different things that you can choose. So for example, I started off on the oncology floor because as a nurse, I knew I wanted to get that med-surg experience where I'm using those skills that I learned in nursing school. You see so many different patient populations that it's an awesome opportunity to get started as a new grad. And then from there, I had in nursing school, we had an opportunity to do like what we called an immersion clinical, where you could pick a specialty area that you really were interested in. So I did select our OR here at ThedaCare. So I did do a 400-hour clinical in our operating room, and I really fell in love with that. So like I talked about, really look for those experiences, put yourself out there while you're going to nursing school, because you never know where you will go when you graduate. So I knew that I absolutely loved that area. So as soon as I did about a year in oncology, I transferred down to our prep PACU, which is our where you get the patients ready for surgery and then you recover them when they come out of surgery. So I did that for about 4 years, and then knew that I just loved learning. So I reached out to my manager and supervisor and just talked about some of my career goals and where do I see myself going from here. And they talked a lot about councils. So here at ThedaCare, we do offer many different councils or different ways to get involved. So I jumped on our education council here in our Prep PACU department, and I ran what we called our PEST committee, so education steering team for our department. I ran different opportunities for the nurses to learn more, maybe if it's like new equipment that we had, or maybe it was just ongoing education where we just made sure that everyone knew how to, for example, start an IV correctly. Maybe it was simple things like maybe accessing like a port, like so if someone comes in, a cancer patient, and we want to make sure that we can access a port, which is inside, like kind of like right in their chest wall here. So just things like that you might not typically see every day, but we want to make sure that we're competent and know how to do those things as a nurse. So I helped run that here at ThedaCare, and I really fell in love with the education side of things. So from there, then I was able to join our education team, and I worked strictly with orientation, so new nurses coming into our facility. And then obviously I'm now in human resources, so that kind of was just like a little bit of a segue. And now I work with students out in our community, making sure that I can help them find that career path or talk about career goals that they have and kind of help them navigate this path.
Oh, that's wonderful. It really sounds like advocating for yourself is maybe the most important part in order to get where you want to go.
Absolutely. I always tell students, keep networking. You never know who you're going to work with. You never know what doors will open. When you become an RN, the possibilities are endless. You can definitely do so many different things with a nursing degree. And if you decide that you don't like something, there's so much more to try and see.
Awesome. All right. We're going to be wrapping up here. We might do kind of a quick fire round here. Students are still coming in with really great questions. Keely is asking, does speaking a different language come into play when dealing with your patients? Is that an advantage?
Absolutely. Always an advantage to be able to speak a different language. If you don't have that, we do have a system here, what we call our MARTI, and we do utilize that quite frequently because we do have a diverse population that does come into our hospitals. But yes, patients always love when they're able to talk directly to an individual. Our MARTI machine is a computer that we can hook up to any language, and then we would get an interpreter over, kind of like what we're doing here today.
Oh, cool. That's very helpful. What is your favorite part of your job?
So I love connecting with students. So now I'm not so much in patient care as I once was, but I have a love for nursing, and I love being able to help individuals find that career path and really talk about what sparks their interest and how we can help them here at ThedaCare.
Excellent. Excellent. Here, what is a common misconception people have about what you do?
Oh, that's a good question.
That's a tough one.
I mean, I think that as a nurse, I think that sometimes people might think that you no longer do some of those CNA tasks, but you do. So for example, with the COVID, our Heritage Peabody location, so our long-term care facility, does need some extra hands. So I jumped on board, and as a nurse, I am giving baths, I'm ambulating residents. So as a nurse, there is just so much more that you can do. It's not always giving those medications. It's not always necessarily doing those nursing tasks. You can definitely help out in other ways. And it's very important as a nurse to continue to help your CNA, as much as possible. They like that, and it shows great teamwork, which is something that here at ThedaCare that we love to see as well.
That's wonderful. All right. Well, I would like to wrap this up. Erica, you've given so much great advice and insight. Is there any parting words that you have for students that are thinking about going into healthcare?
I think that if you are interested in nursing, I would highly encourage you to start getting your foot inside a healthcare facility. If it's maybe starting in the dietary, starting as a CNA, every little bit helps. and just making those connections, being able to talk to residents, being able to talk to those nurses. That is something that you can put in your tool belt, and you'll go a long way. That definitely shows as you're going through nursing school for individuals that do have that background. It's a great opportunity to start into the nursing field, and maybe you'll say, hey, I don't love it, and then you can pick a different pathway. Sometimes this is a great segue to say, oh my goodness, this is what I want to do, and that's what we're looking for.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Well, we appreciate your time so much today. And again, Erica, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with the students.
Yeah, and if anyone does have any questions, I can definitely put my contact information in the chat, but you can definitely email me. I'm open to email, calling, however I can assist you, I'd be gladly to do so.
Oh, that's wonderful. And we can share that out in the follow-up email as well. So if you want to put it right in there, students can grab it, and then we'll make sure that everybody has it as well in the follow-up.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for your time. I hope that you guys found this useful today, and I'll look forward to hopefully maybe seeing you someday. Otherwise, you can definitely reach out via email.
Great. Thanks so much. Have a great day, everyone.
All right. Bye-bye.